Welcome to the Built to Lead podcast with Tyler Wall and Jory Evans. We're happy that you're here today.
Yeah, it's great. Let's go.
Let's go. We've got a great topic for you guys today. I'm excited to talk about it. It's something I've been thinking a lot lately in our world, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. So today we're going to talk about goal setting and the importance of turning your vision into reality.
Yeah, this is great.
It's a good topic. It's one that... I've spent a lot of time on goal setting and vision and mission and building those things out, but you're constantly reiterating these things, and often they're just thoughts that are in your mind that we don't get out. Like, we don't put them down. We don't express them. We don't verbalize them. We kind of let them fizzle and percolate in our minds and don't let them out.
Yeah, we don't have a framework around them.
We don't bring them into reality. And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand, the difference between a desire or a dream or a thought that hasn't been verbalized or written down and one that has, and how powerful that process is. So I want to talk about it today.
That's great.
So the big thing is that our hopes and dreams are put into us. It's who we are. It's our person, and we have a brain, and our brain's thinking about things, and we see something we like, or we, are sitting in the wee hours of the morning thinking or whatever, and we have these thoughts and these ideas and these desires and these dreams, but we don't do anything with them. A lot of people don't do anything with them, and I want them to change that, because I think the reality, bringing them into reality, is the physical realm. Right? We're taking them from the metaphysical realm, the non-physical realm, and we're bringing them into reality. We're creating them. That is the power of the human mind, right? We have our brain. Our brain's a tool. It can do stuff, but our mind and our thoughts, they don't exist in the physical until we bring them into the physical.
Yeah.
And people don't perceive it that way, but that's a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Significant thing. And so what I want to get at is... kind of the direction and the way that we do that as an organization, how I do it as a person, and why I think I've been very successful and have moved very quickly in moving towards my goals, my dreams, and my desires, and why our organizations are all growing at massive pace and peak, is because I get our team to do it as well. And so when we have me leading with vision and traction and goals, and having our individual people making and setting their own goals and tractions, and then having our leadership teams meet and set goals and desires and all that stuff for each organization individually, we bring each of those things into reality and start building momentum on them, right? And then it works, like it moves, and it does come into reality. And so if I can get our listeners and the people who are listening to this to take their dreams and desires out of their out of their dream world and out of the back of their brain and their mind and their thoughts, and I could get them to bring them into reality, we're going to make more dreams become real. Right?
And even to dream. I think some people don't even dream. They're just like,
and you have to start there. What do you mean? You have this idea. People look at me like I'm full crazy when I tell them about what I'm going to do or what dreams and desires I have. Like, they just don't even fathom that as possible, right? And so we have to get there too. But I'm talking about, let's get there for sure. That's not necessarily the topic today. The topic today is taking those things and making them real. So how do we do it? How do we take our dreams and we make them reality? Okay, so when we look at it, I like to kind of split this into personally and organizationally, because they are the same and yet different. And what we ultimately want is alignment in between those two things. But in a lot of situations, I think the organizational thought process thinks that it's different, and like kind of that keeping your personal and business separate. And I don't think that's a thing. I don't think it's a good thing.
Well, ultimately, you're spending a lot of time at work, 8 hours a day, and 5 days a week.
At work to accomplish something on the bigger scale. And if that work aligned with what your goals were personally, wouldn't you be happier at work?
Absolutely.
Right?
It just makes sense.
It just makes sense. It's like and it's integrity. If we're going to work and that work doesn't align with our personal goals, we're outside of integrity. We're going to be miserable. We're going to be depressed. We're going to have struggles. We're going to hate our work or our job. We're going to be disengaged.
Yeah.
We don't need that. We don't want that. And I don't want that in our organization.
Yeah, exactly.
And when I sit down with people that talk about doing this within an organization on the one-on-one coaching that we do here, I talk about how important it is to me that the personal goals of the person who's working in an organization, especially a person leading our organization, must align with the organizational goals. But it actually doesn't start in that order, right? It's their personal goals, and the organizational goals get rejigged and retuned to their personal goals, or the role that they play in the organization gets retuned to their personal goals, so that we have alignment. And when we have that alignment, it's like adding rocket fuel to any scenario, because it just super engages, super traction, super momentum gets built. Yeah. Right? Joy is attached to the process.
And passion. Yeah.
And passion. Like all the things that all the leadership books talk about, a lot of it is in goal alignment.
Yeah.
Right. So, and vision alignment. So how do we do it? So I like to break it down and start somewhere and then do a bit of a journey. And we can call it mind mapping or visualization or whatever. But I start with the big stuff. So the big, hairy, audacious goals, the what we call a 10-year, like, because it's hard to fathom. You can think to the end of your life, you can think 75-year, but I think you can get so far out that you just can't even connect with that anymore. We call it a 10-year or a big, hairy, audacious goal. So what's like the ultimate end that we're looking to get to? What's the peak of our vision? What is the big dream that we have, right? And let's just like very loosely, 30,000 feet, pie in the sky, head in the clouds. What is that? I want to build $100 million business. I want to travel the world and go on 3-month-long holidays or this. Or I want to own this car. I want to support this charity. I want to spend my time doing this. I want to grow a family, and I want to have kids that are solid, awesome, contributing citizens and people in our environment. I want my family to be Christ following and going in that direction and be intimate in that. These are all personal goals that we have and we want. Those are the big high level stuff, right? What are we going to accomplish? I want to build a charity, or I want to be able to give $1 million to charity a year, or these kind of things that are like insurmountable in the short term, but totally possible in the long term, and even seem impossible today. Yeah. But we want to dream that they're going to be possible in the long term. Because other people have done things. That's the thing I often say to people. It's like, we look at like the Elon Musks and the Jeff Bezoses and the Mark Zuckerbergs and the, there's dozens of people, the Bill Gateses and all these kind of guys. And there's lots of other ones too. As if it wasn't possible for us to accomplish what they accomplished. Yeah. And it's not like, again, I've talked with some of these guys or been in coaching realms with some of these people. And it's like, they're just regular dudes that said their dreams out loud, and then they went toward them. And I'm not saying there isn't luck, there isn't blessings, there isn't all kinds of stuff that go along with it, but they got there, and most of them started with nothing. Yeah. Right. So the trajectory from zero, and if you want to do it just by monetary, 0 to billions, is not an insurmountable opportunity. The process from starting with nothing to being financially free is not an insurmountable trajectory. The process of building a massive non-for-profit organization is not an impossible trajectory. A process of taking your marriages and your broken relationship with your kids and making them amazing, strong, healthy relationships is not an insurmountable thing. But often we just say, oh, that's not ever going to be possible, instead of dreaming that it is possible and then saying and writing down that it is. Yeah. And bringing it into reality and saying, this is going to happen. I am going to do this. Yeah. It has power.
Don't let life just happen to you.
No, and a lot of people do, but even then, it's like they have the dream. You already have the dream. You just don't have faith that they could get there. And that's what we need to build. So in order to build that faith, we have to start by saying, this is what I actually want on the grand scale, and I think it's possible. Start there, right? And then we go, okay, it seems impossible. It seems insurmountable. How do we break that down into a manageable thing? Right? So from the large, big, hairy goal, 10-year goal thought process, we go down to a medium. So we go, okay, that's awesome. It's a great goal. We got it written down. So whether you're doing this in a journal, we use a vision traction organizer, which if you're interested in that, you can find it online, or else if you email us, we can send you something to work with that I use with my teams. So vision traction organizer. So it goes personal core values, 10-year goals, 3-year goals, 1-year goal, 3-month goal, breaks it into step-by-step processes, and it's a whole thing. So anyway, that's how we do it. But we're going to go to the 3 to 5 year realm. So we thought about the big, scary, heavy, big stuff. I'm going to go to a 3 year because I think 3 years is far away, but it's not that far away.
Right.
And I think it's really good for yourself to look backward 3 years, because often we don't, like 3 years is a long time and yet it's not a long time. If you look backward 3 years, you'll be like, so much has changed in the last 3 years. So much personally, relationally, financially, spiritually. Like you can be a completely different person in 3 years easily without even realizing it, without even really pushing for it. That much stuff changes just naturally because things change. So when we look at okay, well, 3 years is a touchable distance away from where I am today. And so then what do I need to do in the next 3 years to make my 10-year thing possible? I need to be able to move this far in 3 years. If I did that three times in multiples, would I get to my goal, and break it down?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's 3 year goals? Hey, I need to get in shape. I need to have a better relationship with God or with my wife or with my kids. I need to, if I was where I wanted to be in 3 years, these are the smaller chunks that are, possible things that I could start on on a bigger scale. I could start working on these things. I'm not saying what things I'm going to do about that yet, but that's where I want to be. So I want to have this kind of relationship. I want to have this kind of income. I want to have this kind of spiritual connection. I want to be a part of this type of organization. I want to whatever. Right. So we're going to take that 3 year and we're going to chunk it down, and we're going to set some parameters, where with the 10-year one, it's like big ideas, simple, no details. I'm going to make $100 million. I'm going to lead a not-for-profit organization. I'm going to have, my kids are all going to be married to awesome spouses, or they're going to have great relationships. They're going to be involved in the community and the church, and they're going to be healthy and happy. My marriage is going to be amazing. We're going to be traveling the world, etc. Whatever it is that you're dreaming that you want to do. Really bullet point, really basic, but big. Now we're breaking them down a little bit. I need to do this better on my marriage. I need to spend more time with my kids. I need to get into an exercise program and get to this weight or this situation. I need to look for a new job. I need to look for a new opportunity. I need to start a new business. I need to double my business. I need to whatever, right? And then break those down. And then I want you to sit and I want you to visualize what that looks like, what it feels like to be there, to be complete, to be done that. And just, I don't know, spend 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, however long you can focus on visualizing what that looks like, what that feels like, who you are, what you need to be, what you've accomplished to get there, right? And then write it down, right? So we've got our 10 years, we've got our 3 years. Now we're going to the 1 year. We're getting small. We're going to get way more granular now, okay? So now the small is, where do I need to be 1 year from now? That's not far away. 1 year is, it's not far away. Lots can be accomplished in a year, but it ain't that far. Right. So now we're going to get really more particular about that. It's like, okay, well, if my premium fitness situation is this, what do I need to accomplish in 1 year to hit what I want in 3 years? If my marriage needs to be improved and better, what can I do this year? So like in the year, hey, I'm going to have quarterly getaways with my wife. I'm going to start doing date nights. I'm going to take my kids on a family holiday once a year. I'm going to, at my job, I'm going to tackle a new skill or look for a promotion within the year. Or I'm going to, we all have our different things, but I'm going to get more granular again with that. And I'm going to write it down, right? Then we're going to go 90 days. That's 90 days. I tell you what, when you're moving as fast as time moves, 90 days is a very short period of time.
It is.
Okay. What am I going to do for 90 days? Okay. We're getting down to, okay, this is the exercise program. I'm going to go for a 5-minute walk every day, or I'm going to hit 4 workouts a week. I'm going to eat this type of diet for the next 90 days. I'm going to drink this much water a day. We're getting way more granular with it, right? I'm going to lose 5 pounds this quarter. Things that are manageable, reasonable goals, that are measurable. This is really important. These things need to be, once we get down to 90, 1 year and 90, now we're measuring things. Like this is very measurable stuff so that we can see actual progress and we can put it on the yardstick and go, I hit it or I didn't, or I was a little under or I was a little over. I need to measure it with accuracy and I need to set the goal so that I can hold myself accountable, right? If it's in my work, hey, I'm going to put in an extra hour a day. I'm going to read this leadership book, or I'm going to get into a night course this quarter, or I'm going to take on an extra project for work. I'm going to do my side hustle for this many hours to try and bring in more income. I'm going to, hey, this month, I'm going to pray and meditate every morning for 15 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever. I'm going to, this quarter, I'm going to do a date night a week with my wife.
Yeah.
All these types of goals and things, okay? And we're going to do that on the 90 day. The 90 day is something we call core 4 in our organization, something that I really believe in. I think it's a good thing. And we break everything down into 4 quadrants, okay? One is your fitness, so your physical health, right? Everything that you're doing that is your health, physically speaking, okay? Then we're going to go into relationships, so that's marriages, kids, family, friends. Anytime you're interacting with other people, we're humans, we all have relationships. That's another thing we're going to start measuring on. Thirdly, we're going to talk about our mental and spiritual health. So we're going to talk about, hey, where's my head at? That's different than physical health. That's mental health. So we're going to deal with our mental health. Do I need to meditate? Do I need to get counseling? Do I need to have more quiet time or more margin or self-care or whatever? Do I need to read my Bible more? Do I need to make sure I'm getting to church? Do I need to join a men's Bible study? Any of these sort of things? That's where we're going to spend that energy on that, right? Do I need to cut time out to set goals, right? And then fourthly, we're talking about financial and work productivity. So are you financially healthy? Are you taking care of your money, your production, your work, all the things you need to do? Are you, and that's could be that you need to be better at budgeting. You need to save more. You need to be less flippant with your spending. Maybe that's actually that I need to work on earning more money, or I need to create a side hustle, or I need to look for a better job, or I need to show up better at work and give more effort and energy and actually get that promotion. So we got the 4 quadrants that we're going to focus on in specifically our 90-day area. Okay. And we're going to take those and we're going to set individual goals in each one. And we're going to try and hit our goals for 90 days in each of our 4 quadrants. And at the end of each 90 days, we're going to go back, we're going to look at what we set, and we're going to rate ourselves on them. Okay. In fact, I think we should once a week, look at my core 4, which is a 1-pager that has all my goals and stuff on it. And then I review and I go, am I doing these things? Am I following through on this? Oh, that one's kind of off the rails. I haven't doing it. Okay. How about we schedule it? How about I put it in my calendar? Hey, I've been meaning for a year to get in a once a month thing with my kid, but I never get it done. And we just cross paths in the hallway and I take him to soccer. I want a one-on-one time. Put it in the calendar.
Yeah.
You're saying, hey, it's a goal. Is it a goal? Yeah. Bring it into the physical. It's written down. The written things reminding us. Now we're going to book it in our calendar because we care and we're prioritizing. And at the end of the quarter, we're going to say, hey, I was 50% on that, 75% of that, 100% on that, 80% of that. Radar quadrant. Hey, I was 68% on my fitness goals. I want to see that get better. Next quarter, we rejig and readjust our goals, and then we rate ourselves again. And we want to see that moving in a good direction. And when we do get things turned into habit, so, hey, I want to drink 2 liters of water every day. I've been doing that for 2 or 3 consistent quarters, 100% bang on, no problem. I can drop it off the list. It's a habit now. It's part of who I am. I do it without even trying. And then we build ourselves into a way more powerful being, and we get traction toward our goals because we're ticking them off, right?
So we at Evans here, we have like somewhat of accountability where we have a meeting and we go over it, or a quarterly meeting. Here we go over a core 4 as a leadership team. For the person who doesn't have that, what would you suggest that they do for like accountability? Do they need it?
I think accountability is a great thing to add to it. It depends on your personality. I'm a person that can hold myself accountable pretty well. It still helps to have accountability. It would always be better to have another person or a group, whether a group of guys, group of girls, group of friends, family members, who can hold you accountable, that you're going to share these things with, because part of bringing them into reality is saying them out loud to other people. If I say, hey, Tyler, I'm going to drink 2 liters of water every day. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. And then you see me running around with Coke in my hand all the time. It's like, hey, you hitting your water? But you said you were drinking water. Okay, well, there's accountability just in saying it out loud. Yeah. Right? To other people. You're creating accountability in everyone you tell in those situations. Yeah. So it's a great point, Tyler. So to really bring this home, we've got, and I guess that the last thing is daily, weekly, monthly perspectives, and that's just check-ins. What are we doing every day? So like on the 90-day goals, if some of these things are everyday things. Every day I'm going to drink water. Every day I'm going to meditate. Every day I'm going to exercise. Every day I'm going to do these sorts of things to move me towards my goal. Weekly, what am I doing weekly? Okay, well, some rhythms are weekly. I'm going to read a book weekly. I'm going to do 1 chapter a week as a bar, or I'm going to get this many workouts a week in, or I'm going to do a date night a week with my wife, because those are moving towards my 4 quadrant goals.
And they're easy to track, right?
Yeah. And then monthly, same sort of thing. Because every kind of goal that we set has a different kind of rhythm and formula to it. Some things you're like, I'm not gonna go to a conference every day. I'm not going to go to one every week. I might go to one once a month. I might go to one once a quarter, once a year. So putting the things in the right order and the right spots are going to help us get things rhythmic in our progress, because traction is not about going as fast as you can for a short time. It's about consistently moving ahead all the time. Right. So this is the system of how we do it. The more important part is that we're putting it down. We are taking time, we're putting it on paper, and we're creating measurables that are facts. They're not feelings. It's, did you hit the weight that you said you were going to hit? Did you do it as many times as you said you're going to do it? And then the magical backup is reviewing it regularly. So we put it down, we bring it into reality, we say it out loud, we write it down, we document it, we make it measurable, and we review it consistently. Those are the 3 things that you need to do to make your goals come into reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So continuing to move on, there's something that I think that people don't really think about either is that we're talking the physical part. We're talking about discipline of doing these things. I'm not getting into the discipline of it. Obviously, that has to be part of it, is that you're disciplined. But when you create systems and rhythms and structures, it's easier to stay inside the discipline. If it's I can or I cannot do this, you're giving yourself the option, Whereas if it's schedules and it's set and you're following your schedule, it's not so much a decision. You're making the decision early and you're just following through later. Yeah. Right. But there's another aspect to this, and this is the power of your mind. And some people struggle with this concept or don't agree with it or whatever. I believe in our subconscious mind, the power of vibrational frequencies and energy and all that kind of stuff, and how we utilize it as humans to get towards the goals that we want. You can go into the spiritual realm with God and connecting with God and what his purpose and stuff is behind it. But there's just a regular aspect of that. Our body, our brains, and how we were created are meant to move us toward things, right? So when we visualize things and we think about them in real, and we make them real to ourselves. So we close our eyes and we visualize and we think about the goal that we've written down, and we think about what it would be like. We are priming our subconscious mind to look for that, right? Our subconscious mind does not know the difference between reality and visualization. So when we visualize it and we go, this is what I want, this is what I'm working toward, this is where I'm going. Now our subconscious goes, click, got it. I'm going to do everything I can subconsciously to make that happen for you. So it's the reticular activating system, the RAS is what that's called. And it is basically the name for the subconscious mind that's running in the background, looking and drawing in the things to you that your brain subconsciously knows you want, right? When you buy a blue car, now all you see is blue cars because it's now important to you. When you visualize and set goals, you're telling your RAS, this is important to me and I want this. And it goes to work on finding it for you when you're not thinking about it purposefully, but you have to prime it and tell it that's what you want and set it off to work. Your reticular activating system in your subconscious mind is like 1,000 times more powerful than your frontal brain, the mind that you're using. It's doing so much more than the rest of your brain is when you're awake and active and working on something. It's working in the background at a way higher frequency. It's sending vibrations. It's drawing things in. It's communicating with the world on your behalf without you working on it. Right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And so when people talk about manifestation and visualization and all these types of things, it's a real scientific provable thing. There's infinite stories, if you go out looking for it, of people thinking about things and then priming their RAS and then them coming into their life, but unbeknownst to them. And they think, oh, what random luck. It's like your brain's literally drawing it in.
Yeah.
The street corner you walk by all the time that had a place for rent in it, you never saw that until you told your mind that you're looking for a place for rent for your new business.
Yeah.
Because your RAS goes ping, important, and now you see it. And you go, oh, that's so lucky that that's there. You just wouldn't have seen it the otherwise. That RAS is peripherally scoping the world for everything you want all the time. And it's even putting it out to the people around you. It's like, hey, I'm looking for a new investor for our company. Your brain's going, we need a new investor. We need a new investor. And someone else who's thinking, I need an investment. I need an investment. There's a draw that gets created in like the metaphysical realm. It's happening and none of us are talking about it. Our brains are radioing each other and drawing us together. Right. And again, you can go way deeper in this. I'm not the scientific guy to explain it. There's dozens of books written on the subject. There's a million stories on the subject of how this works and how they proved it in many different ways. But if you're not accessing the power of your subconscious mind and priming it with your goal setting and your visualization, you're missing out on the most powerful part of getting your goals to come into reality. Because your brain will do everything that it can do to bring those things to reality for you while you're not working on it. Right? It's working while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
You know, when you have you prime something and then ping, a really good idea comes up out of nowhere before, that's your subconscious mind. It was working on it all night last night and it came up with an idea and it fed it to you this morning, right? It will solve the problems that you have to get you to the place that you want to go if you tell it where you want to go, right? And again, I cannot say enough how powerful that is and how so few people are utilizing the full ability of their brain and their mind and their subconscious.
Yeah. Well, it's similar to a computer. When you're working on a computer, what you see on the front end is like your conscious mind.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm working on that. But if you actually open up like Task Manager, there's like literally thousands of things running in the background that are all making sure that the computer is working.
Yeah, and getting to the ultimate goal.
Exactly, and it's pulling in information from the internet. It's populating things in the background. You don't ever see it, but it's doing it all the time.
Yeah, and AI is like a good example of subconscious as well. You ask it a basic thing, and then it goes to work and does what would take a human thousands of hours of research to accomplish, and chunks it out in front of you. Like your subconscious mind has much more full gamut of your brain's capability, memory, thought process, processing power than you can really fathom on the front end. And it'll do things for you that you could never consciously accept or assume that you could accomplish when you're not working on it frontally. Right? It's crazy stuff and it's great stuff. So that's how we do it. How do other people do it?
Yeah.
And I think, not that I've been exposed to that many, but enough to kind of see how other people do it, as I just think that other companies just think only organizationally. And so they think on the perspective of, okay, what does the organization mean? And then they go down to the numbers and the finances always. And they don't necessarily think about the human element of what's going on and keeping their people engaged and making sure there's alignment in goals and vision and desires of the company. And when we don't engage and we just talk about financials and KPIs and things, and we don't connect it to the humanity and to the personal desires of the people accomplishing the goals, we're just not going to get the alignment or the pace or the speed or the direction that we're looking for as a company. I'm not saying you won't be profitable or reasonably successful, but you will not be next level epic rocket fuel moving and growing without this stuff. You're moving towards something, but you're not even sure where you're going in a lot of these cases, right? And they go, well, we've decided we want to increase sales by this much, and so this is what we're going to do. These are the motions that you have to make. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just missing a depth or more layers to it that can get much more engagement and much more happiness and joy out of the people in the organization who are doing it. We want a movement, not just a business, right? And so that's something that I think is a major error in the way that they do it. I feel that often other businesses, if they set goals at all, businesses and people, so kind of both sides of the thing, most people don't like intentionally set goals and measure them and review them. They just don't measure and review. So they'll set them once a year or once a quarter or whatever, and then they don't go back to it.
Yeah.
And then do they measure? Do they not? I don't know. I think you and I were discussing a scenario where you would get an annual goal setting document that you're supposed to fill out at your previous job. And then you would send it off to whatever manager who probably didn't even look at it, stuffed in the file. And then maybe next year when you get the sheet again, you might look back at the previous year, but probably not.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
All the time.
That's a very common, and they would go, oh, they do goal setting at that company.
Yep.
No.
It's something to check off. That's all.
Yeah. They're checking a box. Well, we've heard that it's important that we need to do goal setting with our people.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how they do it. They just don't put the effort and intentionality into it that is required or needed for it to actually get real traction. Right. Yeah. And then I just don't think people think big enough. I don't think anyone thinks big enough. Like it blows my mind how little we feel as humans that we can accomplish or that it's possible. We see all of the things, like instead, I guess the exercise of goal setting, often when I'm trying to work through it with people, there's a lot of excuses and but ifs and well, we can'ts and all those types of things. Instead of just taking the journey down the what could we possibly do? What would be the most amazing thing? We're not going to talk about hurdles. We're not going to talk about challenges. We're not going to just not talk about that right now. But let's just take the journey into the clouds to really think of what's possible and really look into the width of the world of what other people have accomplished and decide for ourselves what we would like to do, rather than getting hung up on all these hurdles and things. Because I think that mentally a lot of people struggle to get over even the initial process of putting their head into the clouds because it seems like silly or a waste of time. When we do the 10-year goals, like even with people who are pretty creative, pretty used to our system, I still get pushback from people like, this is a waste of time. Why are we doing this? I can't even think at this level. And it's like, when you can't dream at a higher level, all it does is hold you back. Because and it's cliche, but it's like shoot for the stars and you might end up in the sky or whatever.
Shoot for the moon and you might end up in the stars.
Yeah, that's the saying. And it's that cliche, okay, kind of thing. Yeah. But it's true fundamentally. If the higher you can think, the higher you will go.
Yeah, I ran into this lots at my previous job. I would do creative sessions, and it would be like, let's think about big things, and it's really hard for people to do it. They would they bring in their filters right away. They start, well, you can't do that because of XYZ. Yeah. And it's like, well, we're not thinking about XYZ. All we're thinking about is the big things.
1 in a million people accomplish that. So.
Yeah. So you might be that 1 in a million. Why not? Yeah. Why not throw it out there?
Or maybe you're 1 in 1,000 and you get 3/4 of the way there, and that's still amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Or you blow past it and do better because there's always more new and changing opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
But people just don't think big enough, organizationally or personally. And a big part of that is just not giving it the time, right? Not setting aside time or getting around other creative people and getting rid of the distractions, getting rid of the excuses, and just really taking the journey into dreaming about something, or doing the thought mapping process of how could I get there and what can I do, and closing our eyes and walking through it step by step, not allowing the hurdles to hold us back, and just seeing that flow through into the place that we want to be, right? Like that, just building that muscle is such a powerful aspect, but we need to do that. Then we need to put it down. And that the step between dreaming it and putting it on paper is the step that 99% of people don't do, right? If I polled our listeners or polled any group of people and said, how many of you guys have goals and you've written them down somewhere that you know where they are and you can go look at them and you review them? it would be almost none. Almost none. Right. And, the people who really accomplish big things, you start talking to those people and they're the weirdos with vision boards and goal charts and things written on their mirror and something beside their bed table. And on their office, they've got a picture of the car they want or a picture of the holiday they're going on, or they're visualizing and they're bringing it into reality.
Yeah. They're feeding their
making
RAS.
it real, and they're feeding their reticular activating system.
Yeah.
Right. And so they're doing these steps that I've described and they're taking it seriously. Right. And so it's just such a powerful thing. And I hope that people can get that from this. I've built all of our organizations and all the dreams and I'm continuing to move at a monumentous pace because of this structure. And before I had this structure, I wasn't moving very fast. And as soon as I put this structure in place and started teaching it to our people on our staff, the rocket boosters lit and we took off. Right?
Yeah, had a direction, right?
This. Well, we had a direction. We knew where we were going. And that's kind of where I'm heading with this is practical advice on how to do this better is to give it undivided attention and schedule time to dream and to write goals and do it. Put it in your calendar, pick a time. I try to have a 2 to 4 hour block once a week. That I sit down and I have certain books that help prime my mind. I have notebooks that are just about writing down dreams and desires and ideas and thought exercises. And it's all about vision, visualizing, asking new questions, reiterating the goals and places that I could go. And then I put them into my VTO core 4 structures. Right. So then when I redo those structures, I'm always seeing the next levels and the higher and higher it goes. Right. And I keep moving that direction. All the time I'm moving in a direction and I know where I'm going. There's no exits and detours and things like that, but I'm always headed toward the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. Other visualizing, again, huge thing, there's another one, creating deadlines and false urgency. I call it false urgency because there's not real urgency, but we need to have a sense of urgency around the goals that we have, because the timeline that we set for our goals is the timeline we will get them in. Right? If we say, hey, I want to accomplish this in 10 years, that's probably how long it'll take. If I compress that time and say, well, what if I wanted to do it in 5 years? Or what if I wanted to do it in 1 year? It's still possible. It just requires a different approach in most cases, or a different level of risk, or a different level of whatever. So time compression and creating urgency is what will help us move towards our goals faster, right? And if we just can cultivate in ourselves even a reasonable or gentle level of urgency and deadline, they make us get to our goals faster, right? When we set a goal and we don't create a measurable or a deadline, that's not a goal, that's just a dream.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not even barely a dream. It's like a false hope.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have to create deadlines and you have to create measurables, or else it's not even real.
Yeah.
Essentially. Right? Pain points. I think it's what I was getting at here is that if we don't record anything, we can't hold ourselves accountable. Right? If there's nothing written down, you can't go back and see what you were thinking a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And you don't know if you beat it or if you hit it or if you don't. It just all gets blurry and falls between the wayside. If you have no records, no accountability, and no review, you're not going to move. And if you do move, you're not going to know where you were. You have no map.
Yeah.
Right? So am I closer? Am I further? Am I off trail? I'm not really sure. I don't know. I'm just letting it happen. Right? No goals, no vision, no direction. Right? If we don't have a goal and we don't have a vision, then we don't know what direction we should go. When we come to a crossroads or when we have a challenge, and we don't know how we should tackle things. It's not giving us a structure around how to get going and moving towards something. It's like standing in the middle of a forest and saying, I want to get home, and you don't know where to go.
Yeah.
There's no place to go there. It's
no
just
signposts, no nothing.
There's nothing. You didn't create a map of where do you go. So what direction do I go? I don't know which way home is.
Yeah.
Right. And so we got to begin with the end in mind. We need just to know what we want. And in order to know what we want, we need to spend time thinking about it and wrestling with that, because it's an ever-changing thing for a lot of people, especially when we're younger and maybe not as mature in the process of dreaming and thinking. Because often we can think about things and think we want them, and then we get going down that road and we realize, actually, I don't care about that as much as I thought. This isn't the way I want to go. And so we're reiterating, but we do need to think about the ultimate end. If we don't have the big goal, these little goals will distract us from the ultimate why of what we're doing, right? And we'll get off track. And I know I've talked about this before, but like, why are we doing what we're doing? What's the end? What's the 75-year-old us? What would they say to us about the direction we're going? Are we thinking about who we want to be at the end of it all? Right. And then the other main pain point is that, and I think people really underestimate this as well, is that people don't plateau. You don't get to the dream or to a point or to a structure and go, yeah, this is it. Let's settle here. This is where we're going to live now. That doesn't exist in the humanity of progress. When we plateau, we are spiraling down immediately. It's either up or it's down. And so if we're not getting traction and moving in a direction, we're going backwards, right? And it's subtle and we don't realize it until we're a long ways backwards and we've slidden back hill a long ways. And then we think, oh my gosh, now I have to go all the way back to where I was already. So don't take your foot off the gas. Don't stop moving even in small steps in the right direction. Keep the momentum and the consistency going. When you lose momentum, it's hard to get it back, right? So don't plateau. Don't say, okay, that's good enough. Don't stop the process of continually growing in the right direction. Because if you're not setting goals and you're not getting traction and you're not visualizing and you're not scheduling and you're not doing all these things, you're going backwards.
Yeah.
We're all deteriorating every minute of every day. All right. So again, really simply, to just take it all home here, is that we need to create a plan and we need to execute. It's quite simple.
Yeah.
Right? Goals turn into a real plan, brought into reality, and then us doing the execution. Right? Yeah. The execution requires discipline. The plan requires intentionality, and the dreams require thinking. Like we have to think about it. We have to bring it out of ourselves. Right? I also think that we're all so much happier and more have more joy when we know where we're going. And I think when you think of a kid in the car and they're in the back and they're going, hey, where are we going?
Yeah.
Hey, where are we going? And you don't tell them, they're miserable. They're like, where are we going? I don't know. They're anxious. They're unsure. They're looking around. They're not enjoying the ride. They will not enjoy the ride if they don't know where they're going. But if you say, hey, we're going to the zoo. Yeah, we're going to the zoo. And every minute of that ride is just 1 minute closer to the thing that they want to get to.
Yeah.
Right? And that's no different in adult humans as well. Is that we like to know where we're going.
Absolutely.
We often don't know where we're going, and we wonder why we have anxiety issues or why we're depressed or why we, aren't happy with ourselves or happy with our lives or happy with whatever. It's because we don't know where we're going. Right? We need to set a destination and move towards that destination. And once we do that, we can enjoy the journey. Right? It's such a huge thing with this. And we have to have a growth mindset and not a fixed mindset. I once in a while, I'll meet a person and I'll, I'm a very growth mindset. Well, why don't you do this? You should do that. That'd be cool. You should do, blah, blah, blah. And they're just like, can't do that. Excuse, reason, hurdle, whatever. Right. And there's like, well, I can't learn that. And when I hear the word I can't, I just I have a seizure. I'm just that. It hurts me so bad because when I hear someone say I can't, I know that their mindset is broken. Right. If you listen to yourself speak over the next while, if you hear yourself saying I can't or I won't
or think it,
you got a mindset issue.
Yeah.
Because a growth mindset says, how can I?
Yeah.
Not I can't. Right? We all can get better. We all can grow. We can all move ahead. We all can accomplish our dreams. We are meant and set out to do that. That's why we were created, was to do those dreams and to help people get to those dreams. in the process and just make a joyful, wonderful, beautiful life. We're supposed to subdue the earth and explore it and grow it. That's why we were created, right? And we need to have a mindset based around that we are supposed to go out and conquer and rule and lead and grow and improve everything that we do, right? And that means that we can. We were made to.
Yeah.
Right? Don't say I can't. It hurts me. So takeaway from all this is in my experience, and I just went through this with my teams recently, when we do this process that I've just described, 10-year goals become 3-year goals, 3-year goals become 1-year goals, and time compresses and we move really quick. And when we look back, we go, I cannot believe how fast I've accomplished things.
Yeah.
I look back 3 years right now and I go, I don't even know.
Yeah.
What the heck happened between then and now. It's so crazy and it's so awesome. We can move so fast. We can get so much done and we can get our dreams and desires and goals. They're just waiting for us to dream, write them down, bring them into reality, hold ourselves accountable by reviewing, set up our RAS to get them going, and off like a rocket we go.
Yeah.
Your dreams will come so fast to you if you follow this process. I promise you that.
Yeah.
Right? Not without hurdles, not without trying, not without accountability, not without discipline, not without all the other things. But add this to the mix and you're going to see some amazing things happen in your life.
Yeah. Great advice. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my thoughts. Hopefully this wasn't too long. I hope you guys really got value and connected with this. Setting goals with intentionality and following this process can be an absolutely insanely powerful thing in your life. And so please take the time to do it. Do it for me. Yeah. If you won't do it for yourself, do it for me. So hope you guys have a great week. Like, review, share, send us an email, connect with us. We so appreciate you guys. We're not making any money from doing this. We're spending our time and energy creating this content and sharing our goals and our wins and our thoughts with you guys. And so your contribution to us is to share this with someone else.
Please do.
Send it in a text, shoot it in an email, repost it on your social media. Whatever way that you can share this with somebody else, please do that. And on top of that, if you can subscribe, follow along, we'd love having you along for the ride.
Thanks, everybody.